And we've had a relationship with them for these past few years where they come and visit us and we come and visit them. And that's what we're doing right now. We're here helping build a kuti with my parents and Jeremy and Alan and Kay and Lewis and Kirk and a bunch of wonderful Clear Mountaineers. So we thought for our Wednesday today, we could kind of take advantage of the fact that we're with you both and just have a kind of monastic chat. So an open Q&A where we each have chances to ask questions. And if you're online or those in person, just feel free to type in questions to the chat, and that will be what the session is. It's just a chance to speak and bring up whatever is on your mind or heart, and the monastics can answer.
And to start with, it's possible that some of our Clear Mountaineers, people up in Seattle who often tune into Clear Mountain live streams or interviews, might yet not know the Ayyas. So maybe we start with Ayya Santussika. Would you be willing to just share a short little bio, especially the Dhamma side of your bio?
Yeah, so I came to the Dhamma rather late through my son, who became a monk at Wat Pah Nanachat in Thailand. And it was wonderful. I soaked it up. And then they entered monastic life after maybe about 4 years or so, in 2004, 4 to 6 years, I guess. In 2005, I became an Anagarika, and of course, eventually a bhikkhuni. I've now been a bhikkhuni for 13 years, I think. And I don't know. I kind of lost count. But we have this great forest hermitage, Karuna Buddhist Vihara, and it's really wonderful to be able to practice and do the best we can to awaken and help as many people as possible along the way. We love having our brother monks here visiting, and everyone else who's here, and we love having this connection with you.
Yeah. Ayya Cittananda?
Yeah, I'm Ayya Cittananda. I moved to live with you, Ayya, at KBV in 2015, I think, right? 2015, so Anagarika in 2015, and I don't know how long I've been a bhikkhuni, but someone can do the math if they feel like it. Yeah, we live out in the forest, nice redwood forest in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and thoroughly enjoying that. And we're so happy that the Clear Mountaineers have been so generous and kind and working so hard building this kuti. And our two brother monks showed up today to help, and
we stapled
working
things.
hard. They stapled, they cut things. It's good. So we're kind of priming the pump for when they start building up their place, hopefully. And maybe we get to come help build something or finish something or whatever one day. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. We'd like that.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Okay.
Well, Ayya's maybe the first question, just while we wait for people to kind of type in whatever's on their minds. What teaching for either one of you has kind of been resonating with you recently, or been on your mind or heart,
Well, for me, we really look to Ajahn Chah for teachings. People may or may not know him. One of the master teachers in Thailand, and he's been talking so much about not self, or taking the Dhamma as the principle of your life rather than the sense of self, and doing everything just for the sake of doing it. Do good just for the sake of goodness, be kind just for the sake of kindness. So leaving out that sense of self. So that's really been a strong focus for me. Just trying to get my head around that, get my heart around that, absorb that, let it go.
For me, yeah, Ajahn Chah too. I'm trying to find the quote that I liked so much. So Ajahn Chah puts out these, or sometimes every few days or a couple times a week, just depending on whenever Ajahn Chah is giving a teaching. And she's a really great it was a quote I found really interesting about, here it is, okay. The cessation of suffering is found here in the present. It's so good like it is. So, yeah.
We've sometimes asked Ayya Cittananda her goals.
How far back does your relationship with Lumpur Ganha go?
I guess it started in 2018. I for the monastery where he wanted to ordain, and he went to many monasteries in the Ajahn Chah tradition, and then he went to Thailand finally, and he arrived at Ajahn on the whole other side of the world. And it was Ayya Cittananda that said, "Hey, we have to visit Ajahn Chah." And so we did, and it was awesome. His heart is so open. If I opened my arms enough, I'd probably warm and just wants to help anyone who's sincere. It's so beautiful.
Kovilo and I went there, and in the mornings, Lumpur Ganha will sometimes show metta by throwing little pieces of food at the people gathered, or to them.
In packages, usually.
One more question. Ayya, your story of how you first came to seek out Longta Mahabua is really special, and Lumpur Panyavado. And you might have told it to us before, but would you mind telling it one more time?
I used to go to visit my son in Thailand about once a year or twice a year. And one time when I arrived at Wat Pananachat, sort of was a lot of buzz, and I wondered what was going on. And my son said, well, Ajahn Tui is coming to visit, and Ajahn Tui, no, probably. And I had brought gifts. The cool gift at that time was an LED flashlight, so I had brought a bunch of these for the monastics. And my son, I won't go into the Vinaya too much, but because of Vinaya rules, I would give all of the gifts to my son, and then he could say who I should give them to. And so he said, give this to Ajahn Tui, and he said, give it to him yourself. Don't send it through another person. So, that's a little nervous making, and when Ajahn Tui arrived, the whole community gathered in the sala, and there was the right time to go up on my knees to offer him this flashlight. And of course, there's a receiving cloth, and I put it there, and he picks it up, and then he starts to really excited. And the abbot said, he knows exactly what this is. And he was saying, this will stay bright for 10,000 hours. And then he looked at me, and I swear he said it in English, but I don't know. Do you understand? And I went, and then I went back to my enormous vibration, and it was just so strong. And then I went back to my kuti and went to sleep. And when I was sleeping, I had this dream. It was a very weird, and this monk, he was introducing me to, first of all, there was this Mahabua. I didn't hear that name before, as far as I know. I had no idea, but it's just a dream, right? So, and then this monk is saying, you can get enlightened, but you have to practice relentlessly, and it's pounding, and it's like, it's going on for a while, and then I woke up and I thought, that is so weird. And then I fell back to sleep, and it started again. It's the same thing. You can do it. You can get enlightened. You got to practice relentlessly. Never let it down. Da, da, da. Okay. When I woke up in the morning, I just thought, that is so weird. I'm not going to tell anybody about that. They'll think I'm crazy. The door, and it was my son, which is odd. Before he even went on alms round, he's over knocking on my kuti door. And I went to the door, and he said, here's a book I think you should have. And I looked at it, and it was Ajahn Mahabua. I opened the page, and I saw his photo, and it's like, okay, I have to tell him. So I told him about it, and then the abbot asked to see me, and he said, this can really be helpful for a long time. Take this into your meditation and reflect on it and see what arises out of that. Well, what arose out of it was total confidence. I mean, first of all, confidence in the Sangha, because I hadn't even admitted to myself the doubt I had about whether or not it's possible to awaken. And the way I usually say it, the way I felt was, given all the stupid things I've done in my life, is it really possible? And to hear that, yes, it is. And just as an aside, this is what we hear from Ajahn Gunna all the time, like whatever you've done in the past, just cut that off. Don't think about it anymore. Ajahn Sumedho says too, whatever you've done, it's not a barrier to your enlightenment. So encouraging. So anyway, this had a huge impact on me. The doubt really went away. Not just in the ability for any of us to become enlightened, but also the doubt, any doubt I had in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And so then I wanted to visit Ajahn Mahabua because I wanted to meet him. I wanted to pay respects. I wanted to make some offerings. I tried not to have any expectations. And then the next time I came back to Thailand, we went to Ajahn Mahabua's monastery. My son and I, and my mom was with me. And Ajahn Mahabua wasn't there. And you just don't know when they're going to come back, so we were going to stay until he came back. And almost every day we were able to talk with Ajahn Panyawada, who was there for, 40 years, Ajahn Mahabua's monastery. It's a wonderful British monk you probably know about. And it was just so beautiful and humbling. I had so much to learn. And I don't know if that's
perfect. That's exactly. I love that story. Thank you, Ryan.
Could you say a little bit more about Ajahn Panyawada? Just one of the first times I ever heard your voice before I even met you was on this really kind of famous series of, it was cassettes, and then it was CDs, and it was like MP3s you can get on your little MP3 player, a series of recordings of you and your son, Kuruna, who eventually would become kind of like a mentor monk to me, to Vayagiri. But you and he having a conversation. I forget who was I guess it was Panyawada, so
yeah, no
he's
translation.
British. Yeah. But could you say more about him? And it was a whole series. It seemed like several 1 hour, 2 hour talks. Yeah.
All those times when we met with him, and it wasn't just us. It was he would come out and have tea, and we could talk with him, and there were other monks around, and people would be talking about whatever was coming up for them, and it was just so wonderful. I mean, Ajahn Panyawada was such a humble and clear and amazing monk. He had cancer at the time, and he talked about that. He talked about the cancer and just seeing how he was with that. You really got the sense that he wasn't attached to the body. He wasn't worried about it. He's just matter of fact. And and he was so patient with questions. I mean, and then my son recorded all of these sessions, and that's how kind of, I think, when Ajahn Dick wrote the biography, he had all of these things transcribed, and so the conversation would go off in various directions, but it was always on the Dhamma, because that was all that mattered. I think, to any of us.
For those who haven't read the book biography of Ajahn Longpor Panyavado is Uncommon Wisdom, and yeah, it's just an astounding book. There's I think Longtama Mahabua said he was a diamond of the first order, and those recordings are such a gift because we don't have a lot of recordings of him, and there's a very prominent chicken in them too that is often crowing like very.
There was a lot of noise.
But yeah, it was such a gift. Well, we do want to open up some time for questions as well with the Q&A, and if there isn't anything right away, we can ask some more. We have plenty, but opening up to those online and those in person as well, if there's anything. I have one more question while we're waiting. What's your vision for the Vihara?
Well, that's really for both of us to answer, I think, because we're making this Vihara together. Totally. She was born the year of the ox. I was born the year of the horse. We're together in the harness. And we love it. This property was really a gift, facilitated by the Devas, we believe, and it just arose without our trying. And what we would like, our idea, I don't know, do you want to?
I want to hear what your idea is. I'm curious.
As if we haven't been talking about it for 10 years. But, you know.
I never know what she's going to say.
That's true. Me too. Anyway, we ultimately, we kind of had this idea that a community of 5 bhikkhunis would be really lovely. That gives you a sangha of 4 and then an extra one for, you can do all of the monastic things with that number. And I think it's a number that we would feel comfortable with as a group working together. This property is 14.5 acres. It could support that and a couple of lay people on the property. So that's kind of what we're imagining. And we're building kutis for that purpose. And of course, we love having our lay community members come and help and stay and learn. And we've been enjoying offering teachings and having discussions and sharing the Dhamma and taking people to Thailand to visit the Ajahns, and also an Upasika program now that helps people go deeper, those kinds of things. So I think it's all that. But it's not the most important piece.
I think she's trying to get me to talk. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something that comes up too, like we were talking earlier today about having more female monastics join up, and how there doesn't seem to be very many people who stick with it, or either they have some of reasons in the Vinaya that prevent them from ordaining, or they're exploring but they aren't finding the right fit necessarily, and I think we're just kind of happy to provide an opportunity for the right fit. But it's true, I don't feel like that's like some kind of goal per se, really. Like the goal is enlightenment, and happy to have people who have the same goal kind of try here with us. Lay, monastic, doesn't matter, just everybody go. Yeah, so I'm happy to build stuff and do stuff and maintain the monastery, but none of that is really kind of the point, and I don't want to get lost in just the endless things you can get sucked into out here. It's fun, and that's a problem. So, yeah.
Well, what about the Sunnyvale Center, and are people able to come to here to the Hermitage? Are they able to come to the Sunnyvale? How do people do that? Maybe say a little bit about the Vihara in Sunnyvale.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house that a lay supporter who is, I think they're like Taiwanese Buddhists, really. But they decided that after the pandemic kind of wound down a little bit, and their tenants moved out, that they would like us to rent the house and use it as a meditation center in town for people to be able to come. Because if you've ever been here, well, the road is can be daunting and preventive for some people. So it's in Sunnyvale, California. So it's like South Bay, south of San Francisco, and we have Friday Sutta study and Saturday morning programs and occasional day-longs people can come to in person, and pretty much everything we do is hybrid, so if you can't come in person, you can always tune in online. And sometimes we have like community work days where people from town will come out here and help out, or we'll have like get ready for Katina or some kind of event day so they can go to Sunnyvale to participate in and still kind of be in the community and do stuff together, because that's always fun.
The road, when we started down it, one of you had a car sickness medication right on hand for the passengers. It was impressive. One of the things that has been really meaningful for us about you two is, the Bhikkhuni Theravada order is just beginning again, and it's not, I imagine, easy to be kind of the pioneers in that realm, and yet you two hold it so beautifully. And whenever you speak about the situation or kind of the various fairly complex landscape of monks and bhikkhunis and everything, there's a real gentleness, and like the way I often phrase it with you two is like, I only hear water, no vinegar. And that is such a rare, precious thing. And I imagine quite, how do you do that? And how do you conceive of the place of kind of the Bhikkhuni movement right now in the West? Small question, So.
One of the first things I think is that we know what the goal is of the teachings, and we, again, don't want to get lost in some of the nonsense that goes on in this conventional reality. But I think it's more than that. It's like we have so much appreciation for the Buddhist teachings having been passed down through all these centuries, and nothing's perfect in this world. Nothing. And so we really love the Thai forest tradition. I can't ever repay what I've received from the teachers in this tradition and from the monks and all of the lay people and the mechis and everyone who's been involved in how they've held it and carried it forward. And so we feel like we're really fortunate to be able to pick up the Bhikkhuni form, since it's the one that the Buddha laid down as, it's so much like the Bhikkhu form. He wanted that for anyone who had the inclination for monastic life. And so we want to live it as closely as we can, as best we can, and not get caught up in controversy or any kind of animosity or any of that. It's just, that's not where the Dhamma is. And and it's not about being oblivious to what's in the landscape, but knowing where to put one's attention and how to move things forward in a good way. I think the best thing is to live it. And we are fortunate to be in a place where the Bhikkhuni ordination is available and where people are supportive, and they don't think, oh, why would you be a Bhikkhuni? They think, hey, why not be a Bhikkhuni? So we're lucky. And I think we should, really, as it says in the sutta, sometimes make much of that.
That was really wonderful. Anything to add? No pressure.
So I used to be a Mahayana monastic, where it's a given to be fully ordained female monastic, and it's not exceptional or different in any kind of way. And so when I was more interested in Theravada and it wasn't a thing, I didn't feel, oddly enough, I didn't feel turned off by it, but I was just like, we'll see. We'll see. and I did. I was lucky. I found a few places that I could go check out and see. And I started with Ayya Santussika, and then I went all over the place, and then I just came back. Because I think partly it is a large part to not have the animosity or not hold anything against the monastics who I've benefited so much from also. Like, I wouldn't be here without the Bayagiri and the Ajahn Chah lineage. I would have just probably ended up hiding somewhere alone, eating some nuts and berries in the woods, trying to get enlightened. Yeah. So the gratitude outweighs the weird, and I think the weird will end soon enough if we just keep, like you said, keep practicing and don't let the white noise become a problem.
So you started off in Mahayana, and then was it pretty soon after that you came to Theravada?
Yeah, so this was the only monastery, the Mahayana place was the only one my mom would let me ordain in, because it was her friends who started the monastery. It was kind of like, she was okay with the monk and she could have a lot of contact and she felt like it was okay. But I never really, it wasn't a good fit for many reasons anyway. But I never really felt fully comfortable with some of the things that were in traditional Mahayana practices. So I was looking around online a lot. At the time, it was mostly just Ajahn Jayasaro and Ajahn Amaro and some Ajahn Brahm, and like very little. But it was enough to get me interested in the Thai forest tradition. And I was like, okay, this is more like it. And then I found Sravasti Abbey also at the same time, and I was like, oh, functioning, awesome female community, what? So that was worth checking out a little bit too, but I just felt so much more strongly aligned practice-wise with Theravada that, yeah, here I am.
And you got your mom to actually come to Thailand with you too a couple years ago.
Right. And she's Mahayana Buddhist, and she also is turning into like a enlightenment now, type. So it's kind of fun. And she enjoyed it a lot when we went to the Mechi's monastery that's near Ajahn Ganha's, and this Mechi's reputed to be enlightened also. So Ajahn Ganha supports that monastery. And she just passed away this year, so we're kind of sad. But my mom liked it so much there that she stayed a month extra and hung out with the Mechi that was a student of Ajahn Mahabua's sister, and it's like, go! She has that same,
You can do it.
yeah, do it now energy. So yeah, it's coming. She's coming, my mom. It's okay.
I think I'd met you after you got that interest in Ajahn Chah lineage. And I was a layman, and I came to a Baigiri's kitchen, and they're like, oh, there's this laywoman, she's here all the time, and it's like, we met then, and then here we are now. So.
That's why I met him too.
That's right.
Thank you, Ayas. And maybe we will open stuff up now, just so we do get a chance to kind of open stuff up to the audience in person or online.
Quickly, we have one from, I believe, an Ayya Santussika that says, hello, from Santussika and Kunga.
Aww. We know them. Hi, you two.
And the next one is from Alex, I believe Alex Haynes, and who says that, and this came before you spoke about Bhikkhuni, so perhaps you've already answered this, but dear Ayas, how to cope with feelings of grief and fear around the more unstable and fledgling nature of the Bhikkhuni Sangha in these times?
I think we'll pass that one on to you too. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it is important to recognize that we're pioneers at this stage. And, if you look at the arising of any kind of spiritual form or religion anywhere, it takes a while for it to gain some stability and ground, and to just accept that, to know that that is the case. And it means that we prepare ourselves. We can use this situation beautifully for practice. It doesn't inhibit the development of the mind at all. Every bit of it can be used as fodder. And instead of looking, and this is such a true, important teaching of the Dhamma anyway, instead of looking outside ourselves for the problem, because there are many out there. There's never going to be a dearth of problems out there. But instead to look internally inside and recognize that whatever it is that we're experiencing or facing, whatever it takes to build a monastery, whatever it takes to develop our practice, if we look inside, we can see what the barriers are that we actually have the power to remove. And I think that's the way we need to look at it. If we feel somehow disadvantaged, turn inwards and know that the strength of the Dhamma is right there. And we don't have to put any attention on what that perceived disadvantage might look like. Fortunately, there are many wonderful teachers who are kind and supportive and want to help. We have monks in various, in the Sri Lankan tradition. They were the ones who really made Bhikkhuni ordination possible to come back, because they were willing to help with the ordinations. And now we have, things are changing. And they're changing in a good way. And if we continue to take steps forward, it's inevitable, like I said. It's kind of change.
I've got one very quick follow-up question to that. Just thinking about one of the differences between the Bhikkhuni Vinaya, the rules for Bhikkhunis, and the rules for Bhikkhus is there is a particular stipulation or suggestion that Bhikkhunis stay in robes for life, which is not asked for. That's one reading of it, and that male monastics aren't, they're allowed to disrobe. And I'm curious if either of you have any thoughts about that. And I mean, it's.
Do you know where that is in the Vinaya?
I would like to know more.
It's actually, I think, in a sub-commentary. It's not considered to be coming from the Buddha at all. So I know that that's some of these ways of looking at the Vinaya and where people put their emphasis, their focus, really can be weaponizing. And I think that's one of the things, not the worst, not the most egregious, but it's one of the things that people talk about that has an oppressive effect. That I don't believe that the Buddha had at all. Because if you really look at the way the Buddha taught, he was encouraging everyone. He was encouraging monastics to rehabilitate. He was encouraging monastics to be able to come back to their practice, unless you did something really awful, like intentionally kill a human being, or the other very few things. And so I don't think that the Buddha offered that, and we don't see it in the Patimokkha, we don't see it in the Vibhanga, we don't see it in, we from what I understand from the scholars, it's a minor point in the sub-commentary.
It's fascinating. It's really humbling coming to visit you or visit our other Bhikkhuni sisters, because we do study the Vinaya a lot, like quite deeply, but mostly the monastic side, like the male monastic bhikkhu side of things, and learning about kind of more of the nuances of the Bhikkhuni Vinaya. And I had always thought thinking that it was from the Buddha, thinking maybe there was some nuance there, because I'm always impressed when someone takes lifetime vows and can do that. And I thought maybe the Buddha's suggesting that women are better, more capable at taking lifetime vows than.
Well, of course.
And then
I mean, I know I'm not going to disrobe. In fact, my Aratana is be a bhikkhuni for every lifetime until I'm awake. Yes. But it doesn't really fit with the Buddhist style. And I think there's something beneficial about knowing that you're not trapped in a form. And I really have respect for whatever form women pick up. Meiji, Sayale, Dasasila Mata, Siladhara for sure. Any form that they find supportive, and same for anyone else. If you really live it, if you really can make use of it, great. And I think just as much as possible, getting the flavor of the way the Buddha held these things, and trying to follow that. It's not about rigidity. It's not about being exclusive. It's not about being better than, in any sense.
He wanted us to live the Vinaya, so the Vinaya has to be livable.
Yeah, and it has to be in accordance with Dhamma. And if we interpret the Vinaya in a way that's oppressive, excluding people, putting people down, building ourselves up, somehow thinking we're better because we keep some pure way, I think we're really on the wrong track.
Do you want to add anything? It's okay, so please. Otherwise we can open up to another question too.
That was very thorough.
Well, my faults.
Any others, Jeremy? Go for it, or anyone live?
Should be a quick one from David. Going back to the Lumpur Panyavado interviews, where could we access those recordings?
I think they are on the Forest Dhamma website, on the audio side of Forest Dhamma. Yeah.
In Uncommon Wisdom, if you type Uncommon Wisdom PDF, you'll get the biography. And at the end of it, there's a series of talks, which are sort of those interviews condensed into a few. I mean, obviously the full talks are amazing, but that is one place you can access his teachings as well. So.
We have another one from Nicole. Can Ayya share her story of how fish and family are suffering?
I love that one.
This was when I was a laywoman and visiting my son and all of that. And I had remarried, and my husband had a tropical fish tank. And I was just reflecting a lot on what I was learning, the chanting. What does this mean? What does that mean? What does it mean that birth is suffering? I get how death is suffering, how old age is suffering, but birth is suffering. I don't think he meant childbirth, even though I've been through that. There's a lot of suffering involved. All that kind of stuff. So thinking a lot about suffering and all the things that we spend time on, and the suffering that's involved in them. Even though we do them, we choose to do things. And my husband, with this tropical fish tank, there was always something going on with the fish tank. He had 4 fish in the fish tank usually, and And, one would get sick and he would put it in a hospital tank. And, the two fish would be fighting and then he'd put a partition in the tank to keep them apart. And, at one point, one of the fish got said too big for the tank. He took it back to the fish store, got another fish, and all the cleaning and everything. And I thought, is he doing all this just to watch the fish? Is this, And then one day he said to me, the fish tank's perfect. All the 4 fish, they're all beautiful, they're all different, they're all getting along, they're all healthy. And I thought, oh no. Because what's next? And sure enough, it was only a couple of days later, one of the fish died unexpectedly. Comes downstairs in the morning, it's floating on the top. And then a short while later, another one died, and I was about to head off to a Bayagiri. I was spending some weekends at a Bayagiri, and then I'd come back. And when I got back, I think there was one fish left that was really just about gone. And I remember standing at the kitchen sink doing dishes, and I thought, man, fish tanks are suffering. And the next thought was, family is suffering. And something really changed inside. It was just like this switch. And I really felt differently about everyone in my life. About my children, about my mother, and there was some, all I can say is there was some kind of love for all beings that was so vast. And this complete disappearance of special concern for those that I was, special concern isn't the right word. It's more like there wasn't this attachment, the same attachment. And I was testing this mental state. When I would think about the snails on the sidewalk, the compassion would arise because it's dangerous there. When I would think about my daughter's about to go to Hawaii on a trip, and usually I'd be a little nervous, a little worried about her, but it wasn't there. It was the same compassion, the same feeling, and I was just like noticing the different ways that I would react had really changed. And one thing I learned is that even though, first of all, the Dhamma doesn't make us oblivious or indifferent or cold or disconnected. It makes us love. And there's no limit to that love. It doesn't mean that our personalities are changed or, that there's still all kinds of things that could go on, but to know the Dhamma in that way. And then I learned that I do have this responsibility, though, to these particular people because of the karma. Because you have a certain relationship with your parents and with your children and with your siblings, and the way that you're connected there gives you an opportunity to help them in a way you might not have with other people. And one way I think of it is we don't have the tickets to the front row seat of everybody's death, or everybody's birth, or everybody's other important transitions in life. But we do have that with those people, generally. And so wherever we can, then we can give them support. And that's really where that boundless love shows its true colors, I think. The desire to support people as, or living beings as we can, in whatever situation. And then I had to learn how to express, because I told my son about this. He's a monk, right? And he said, I know that this is progress and I'm happy for you, but I need my mother.
Mm.
And I had to almost relearn how to interact in a way that showed them this special love, because it mattered to them. And it's also the case that I can feel attachment grow if I focus on being attached. And I can see it happen and I can step back. So it's an interesting experience, this Dhamma thing.
I remember I was listening to those long Panyavada recordings, and I remember that exact phrase. I realized fish tanks are suffering, families are suffering, and it's kind of like this thunderclap of truth. Like there's this flavor to some of those realizations that just kind of shines through. And I know a few monks who have remembered that exact line, and just how you followed that is really something. So
I heard a reflection from some not yet Buddhists, but Buddhist or Buddhist curious people saying, we hear about metta. It's like having loving kindness for all beings, and that you love your child as you would love your friend, as you would love your enemy. You would love your enemy just as you love your child, your only child. And then having this idea that one would be a moral monster to love some stranger as much as they love their own child. And curious, just actually having children in relation to this. What do you think about that?
This comes from a totally different place. If we think in terms of separate self, if we think in terms of personality view, then that would be a moral monster. But this goes beyond that. It's not the same perspective at all. Because let me say that again. I'm not sure about that moral monster part, actually. Because it's like you're not harming anybody. I think maybe the way they're thinking is that you would neglect the people you're close to, but you don't neglect the people you're close to. You're there for them. But if we really just think in terms of personality view, and I'm I'm an individual, and I have this connection with or relationship with these other individuals that are special to me. It's not like there's anything wrong with that, but that's a very different view than where the Dhamma leads us ultimately, to really recognize that there is no separation.
Cittananda, anything to add to fish tanks, universal love, family,
moral monsters?
Moral monsters.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, of course. It's like the responsibility is different, but it doesn't mean that the feeling can't be the same. Like the feeling of metta can't be the same for everybody. I have this habit of adopting everybody into my family.
She's already just
everybody here.
Everybody's here has to stay
So
forever.
with me now.
You didn't know.
Yeah, but it's trying to do it in not in such an attached way where that doesn't take into account that this is samsara and things are not always going to be the way we want them to, and it's normal to get old and sick and die, and the people that are what you consider an enemy are just people who want to be happy too and are suffering and are acting out of their suffering. And there's no reason why you shouldn't have that same kind of metta for them, because we all stuck here. and some of us want to get out, but the ones who don't want to get out are even more worthy of the compassion, and they need the metta more. So, I don't know. I'm rambling now, but here we are.
I thought of it sometimes like the relationships normally are like two entangled strings, and dharmic relationships are like sympathetic resonance, where you pluck one string and all the strings that are tuned to the same note will all resonate in tandem. But it's a much more gentle interaction, but it's also much more powerful in the end, and there's also this sense of recognition I find with people who are Kali and Amitta or walking the same path. Like, we only get to see you two, twice a year, maybe in person, but immediately, our siblings. And also the sense of something very kind of a crescendo that's happening in the West Coast right now with the Sangha and the Dharma. It's quite profound. And yeah, it means a lot to kind of come here and touch into that note as well.
Aww,
so kind. Inside joke.
Not so
Don't start doing that. We have room for maybe one more question, and then we'll jump onto Zoom with the Ayyas as well, so people who are tuning can join us.
We have a question from Brianna, who says, "Greetings. You have the forest location as well as a touch point in a town/city. What is important to know about different locales of practice? How do you use both spaces differently for practice?"
Well, I guess in town it's more, I don't know. I feel like everything we do is service in a lot of ways, here or there. But that's like a nice opportunity for people to be able to come more easily and offer Dhamma, and we can talk about their problems with them, or have day-longs and where people can feel the monastic juju while they're in town instead of having to trek out of here. But the forest energy is definitely way better for meditation for me. I think for you too, probably. The energy of the forest is pretty strong. There's a lot of calm, and redwood forests are fun like that too. They've got this deep, old energy that is really powerful, and I think helps you go deeper yourself. So there's that. I guess that's all I would say.
Yeah, it's so quiet.
Yeah, it's quiet.
I wake up during the night and it's so quiet. To really practice with silence. It's really beautiful. You can practice anywhere, but it is helpful, and the Buddha said it so many times, to go to the forest, to the root of a tree, to an empty hut, and so I think what you said is great. Like the practice of service, the practice of connection, the practice of being with people. We can practice it while we listen to someone. You can, there's a beauty in it, and it's really helpful to be able to withdraw from that and have the stillness and the energy of the nature.
Did you say you never wanted to, like every time you leave here, you're like, oh, I wish we were staying here?
Yeah, we really don't want to leave here. Going into town for a day and a half or something is not usually like that. But if we have to leave to go teach a retreat or something somewhere, we're like, a little like wishing we didn't
Even
have to.
that, I'm like, no.
Yeah. There is that.
Well, we will be getting you to I think October 5th.
We're coming soon.
Yeah, up to
place near
Clear
you.
Mountain. Or no, October 11th to Clear Mountain after Cloud Mountain. Thank you, Mom. And just before we jump over to Zoom, I put the link in the chat for those who want to join us. How can people tap into Karuna Buddhist Vihara? They can come here and ordain, maybe.
We have a few preliminary steps.
Just come and show up, right?
Got the robes ready? No. Got the raised? No.
What
coming
offerings do you have?
online, or if they're close by, coming in person to the meditation center. I mean, every different monastery has a little bit different style, and we're really into the early Buddhist texts. So sutta studies, see if you like that, see if you like the way we talk about it.
That's on Fridays, right?
That's on Friday nights, 7 to 9, but the first hour is a little bit of chanting and meditation, so the sutta study part is 8 to 9. And Saturday morning we have a program from 9 to 10:30, which is a little more about what's happening, what happens to us, what's happening in the world, how do we practice, how do we apply the Dhamma to this. So that's the best way to get involved in the beginning, and then of course, if you're local, there's community work days and day-longs, and we also go to Berkeley once a month if you're up in the East Bay. Right now we're slowly moving our way through the Dhammapada, and that's really sweet. Yeah. So the main entry points.
Thank you, Ayas, and we'll post the link to your website in the description, and we hope people really do take advantage of that. The Ayas are just wonderful teachers who want to join. The link is in the chat, or if you go to clearmountainmonastery.org, you'll see the Wednesday evening event listing there, and the Zoom will be on that too. And we're going to see if we can get the whole room in the frame with the lay people too, maybe. So we'll see you all
They
soon.
look a little shocked and worried.
Yeah, they do. Little did they know.
They've been working very hard. They're tired. Leave them alone.
They might be able to leave. Okay. Ayas, thank you.